All right, let's talk about prostate health. But today, we're going to go way beyond just managing symptoms. We're going to dive deep into the underlying biology to see what's really driving the issues and uncover how a specific team of natural compounds can work together in synergy for some truly comprehensive support.
Which brings us to the big question, right? Are prostate problems just an unavoidable part of getting older, something you just have to deal with? Or can we actually get to the root of the problem and manage it at its source? Well, the science is pointing to a clear answer. A proactive approach isn't just possible, it's powerful. So let's start by getting a handle on the condition itself.
Okay, first, let's get the main term straight. We're talking about benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. Now, in simple terms, all that means is that the prostate gland is getting larger, but it's not cancerous. The problem is, as it grows, it can cause a whole list of really frustrating urinary symptoms. So understanding what BPH is, that's the first step to getting a handle on it.
So where do we start? Well, the first major piece of this puzzle is the hormonal system. It turns out that specific hormones, known as androgens, are one of the primary things driving the prostate to grow. Let's break down exactly how that works. Now, what's really interesting here is that testosterone itself isn't the main culprit. There's an enzyme in the body that converts it into a much more potent form called dihydrotestosterone, or DHT. You can think of DHT as testosterone's supercharged cousin. And when this stuff builds up in the prostate, it's constantly sending a signal to the cells to multiply, which leads to that enlargement we call BPH. So the real key isn't just testosterone, it's managing DHT.
So how do we get a handle on DHT's effects naturally? This is where it gets really clever. Imagine a lock and a key. DHT is the key that fits perfectly into a lock or a receptor on your prostate cells. When it clicks in, it tells them to grow. But some natural compounds, like the flavanol fisetin you see here, have a very similar shape. They can actually get into that lock first, which means they block DHT from ever getting in and delivering its message. It's a fantastic way to interrupt the process right at the molecular level.
And this brings us to a few key natural players that can do this. You have phytosterols, which are these amazing plant compounds found in things like pumpkin seed oil, and they're great at interfering with DHT. Then you have the flavonols, like fisetin and luteolin. Not only do they compete for those locks, but they can also tell the cells to make fewer locks in the first place. And then there's urtica dioica. You might know it as stinging nettle, which brings its own unique compounds to help regulate this whole pathway.
But, hormones are only one part of the story. The second major driver behind BPH is chronic, low-grade inflammation. And this is critical. This inflammation isn't just a side effect of the prostate growing. In a lot of cases, it's a root cause of the swelling itself.
So what's going on at the cellular level? Well, the prostate tissue basically gets flooded with these pro-inflammatory messengers called cytokines. You might have heard of things like TNF-alpha and IL-6. These signals create this constant state of alarm, this inflammation that directly makes the prostate swell up and the cells grow.
Luckily, nature has some incredibly powerful solutions for this. Curcumin, that's the active compound in turmeric, is an absolute superstar when it comes to calming down those inflammatory signals. And hey, look who's back on the list: urtica dioica and luteolin. See? It turns out they're multi-talented. They don't just work on the hormone side, they also have strong anti-inflammatory effects. This is our first real peek at that synergy we were talking about. Now, all of this sounds great in theory, but what about the real world? Does it actually work? Well, this number really says it all. In one clinical study, men who took a pumpkin seed extract for just 12 weeks saw an average reduction in their prostate symptom scores of over 30%. That is a huge, tangible improvement in day-to-day life, and it's proof that targeting these pathways really works.
Okay, on to our third angle of attack, and this one is truly on the cutting edge of science. We're talking about the microbiome. For the longest time, this was completely ignored, but recent discoveries have shown it plays an absolutely critical role in prostate health.
It turns out the prostate has its own unique ecosystem of bacteria, kind of like your gut. And when that delicate balance gets thrown off, when harmful bacteria start to take over, it can trigger inflammation and swelling directly inside the prostate tissue. It's a problem that literally starts from the inside out.
And this really helps explain why an approach like antibiotics often just doesn't provide a long-term solution. You see, antibiotics are like a nuke. They kill everything, the good bacteria along with the bad. This leaves the prostate's ecosystem completely defenseless. And guess who usually grows back first? the bad guys. It just creates a cycle of problems. The smarter, more strategic approach is using targeted probiotics. These are the good guys, and they actively crowd out the harmful bacteria, restoring the prostate's natural protective balance for lasting relief.
Okay, so we have our three key targets: the hormone axis, the inflammation cascade, and the microbiome. Now let's pull it all together and see why a synergistic strategy, one that hits all three of these pathways at once, is so incredibly powerful.
But wait, before we build our dream team of ingredients, there's one more crucial idea we have to understand: bioavailability. It sounds like a complicated word, but it's actually really simple. It just means how much of a substance your body can actually absorb and use. Think about it. You can take the most amazing ingredient on the planet, but if your body can't absorb it, it's completely useless.
Curcumin is the perfect example of this. On its own, our bodies have a really hard time absorbing it. But as this research shows, when you pair it with an enhancer like piperine, that's the active compound in black pepper, you can boost its absorption by a staggering amount. We're talking up to 100 times more effective. This is the missing piece that makes a good strategy a great one.
So, here's what the complete 4-step synergistic strategy looks like. Step 1, we manage hormones with phytosterols and flavonols to keep that DHT in check. Step 2, we calm the inflammation with powerful agents like curcumin. Step 3, we rebalance the microbiome with targeted probiotics. And the crucial final step 4, we enhance the absorption of everything with a booster like piperine to make sure all these amazing compounds actually get to where they need to go and do their job.
And here it is, the full system in action. To manage the hormone axis, you've got pumpkin seed oil, fisetin, and luteolin. To fight inflammation, you bring in curcumin and urtica dioica. For the microbiome, targeted probiotics. And to make it all work better, piperine to enhance absorption. You can even add in essential cofactors like vitamin D3 and vitamin K2 to create a truly complete approach. You see, each one of these components is powerful on its own, but when you put them all together, their effects are truly multiplied.
So we'll end on this thought. Once you understand these interconnected systems, the hormones, the inflammation, and the microbiome, you can stop searching for a single magic bullet. Maybe the most effective approach isn't a solo instrument, but a carefully orchestrated symphony of support, where each and every piece works in harmony to help restore the body's natural balance. The science is certainly suggesting that this